black holes, nothing but space, man. And I wanna go home.
Your ultimate UK Eurovision song.
With Steve Wright.
Well, what a collection of songs and a well-deserved number one. Thank you so much for listening and voting. It was exciting. Don't forget the grand final will take place on Saturday 13th of May in Liverpool to a global audience of, check this out, 160 million people. Catch everything on BBC Sounds and iPlayer, of course. I'm Steve Wright and I'll be back on Sunday morning at 9 a.m. for Steve Wright's Sunday Love Songs here on Radio 2 and on BBC Sounds. Don't be late. BBC Sounds is where you can also find my new Tell It to Steve podcast. Just saying, it's me picking out some of my top guests of all time, conversations with movie stars, journalists, comedians, actors, and the biggest stars of music. Plus, each podcast has a brand new interview, so you get to hear what many of them are up to at the moment. Just search for Tell It to Steve on BBC Sounds. Thanks to producers Mark Simpson and Emilio Porto. This is Radio 2 on the BBC Sounds app on your smart speaker and on 88 to 91 FM.
BBC News at 3 o'clock. This is Nikki Cardwell. Liverpool is flying Ukrainian flags as it prepares to host tonight's Eurovision on the country's behalf. Russia's invasion and occupation means it's not safe to hold the song contest there. Tima Miroshchenko is Ukraine's Eurovision commentator and covered last year's competition from a bomb shelter. He says Liverpool feels like home this year.
I feel myself here like at home. So many Ukrainian flags, Ukrainian things around the city. When audience is coming to the arena for rehearsals or for the show, they have something Ukrainian with them. This tremendous support I can feel everywhere, on every step and every corner, and this is really priceless.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky is visiting Rome, where he's meeting Italian political leaders and will have an audience with the Pope. Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has been one of Ukraine's more vocal backers, although polls suggest that Italian people overall are opposed to sending Ukraine more weapons. A spokesperson for the rail delivery group has accused the RT union of blocking a pay offer from being voted on by members. It says frontline RMT staff are missing out on a pay rise of up to 13%. The union's leader has called for a high-level summit with government ministers to tackle the dispute over pay, jobs and working conditions. Many train companies are running only limited services during another walkout by RMT members today. The former Home Secretary Priti Patel is expected to tell a group of Conservative supporters that errors made in Westminster have cost the party dearly. She's one of a number of prominent allies of Boris Johnson who will address the Conservative Democratic Organisation conference in Bournemouth. Our political correspondent Tony Bonsignori says the issue of the Tory leadership is hanging over the gathering.
The elephant in the room here is Boris Johnson. I mean, he's been mentioned, but should he come back? It's something that some people within the party still want. Jacob Rees-Mogg has just said, look, let's not change leader now. We must not do that, he says, because if we do that, we risk looking absurd. So perhaps then this is all about what happens after the next election, because there's no sign that Rishi Sunak's going to change course anytime soon.
In the Premier League's early kick-off, Leeds and Newcastle drew 2-2 at Elland Road, and in less than half an hour, Notts County take on Chesterfield at Wembley in the National League playoff final, with a place in League 2 at stake. Travel to the match has been affected by the rail strike, but these fans are determined to get to the game.
We're Notts County fans. We're on our way to Wembley. 30 coaches. The rail strikes aren't stopping us. We're going to win today. Come on, you pies! Yeah!
And a nurse from Devon has been awarded an international prize and £200,000 in cash for her work to improve diabetes care. Margaret Shepherd from Exeter set up a network of specialist nurses to raise awareness of monogenic diabetes, which can be passed from a parent to...
Sophie Ellis-Bextor's Kitchen Disco from Radio 2.
Oh yes, it's time for a Eurovision party.